What's up, witches? It's showtime! It's motherfucking showtime! Yes! What is up? Come on in the building, come on in the room. I see you guys are starting to file in. So let's come on in. Oh, welcome to session 2 of 10 Steps to Becoming a Better Witch. This is the free webinar that I offer to you guys. This is the second offering of this webinar today. Hey, Cynthia, welcome. If you are coming in the building, go ahead and say hello in the chat. Let me know where you are tuning in from. I want to know where we are. Do we have any international witches, any West Coast witches, anybody actually in the Bronx, any Bronx witches? Let us know where you are from. Hi, Amy, welcome. Where are you guys tuning in from? I will let you guys know that I am tuning in from home. Yes, praise be to the goddess. This morning I was at the shop, but today I am home. Okay, I have closed up the shop and I have run home to be here with you guys. So we've got candle going, lighting some rosemary. So all my mental facilities are on point. All of my cognitive skills are popping because it's been a long day. So I need all the help I can get. So thank you, Rosemary, for helping me out. Got some calming binaural beats on in the background. You guys can't see me, but from the waist down, I'm wearing stretchy, comfy pants, which is not what I was wearing earlier. So yeah, vibes. This is the evening vibes. I pray you all are comfy, well fed, warm, dry. You're putting on your pajamas, okay? You're getting nice and comfy. Get your pens and your notebooks ready. If you registered for this webinar, then you received an email about an hour ago with a downloadable workbook that I created for you that you can print out in order to organize your notes. But if you are not able to print it out or you did not get that email, perhaps you're tuning in on YouTube, that is perfectly fine. Just grab yourself plenty of paper and a pen. We are going to be taking lots of notes this evening. I'm going to be sharing lots of information and providing you with some really, really clear action steps for you to take. So I want to make sure that you get that recorded so you don't forget anything. Namaste, witches. You're tuning in from Brooklyn. Hey, Journey. Yes, Journey's in the building. Journey's had a coaching session with me before, so we've gotten some time to powwow and connect. I'm so happy to see you, Journey. Thank you for being here. What's up, Elizabeth from Iowa? Shout out to you. Hey, Enid from Staten Island. What's up? Right over the bridge. Trisha from the Boogie. Hey, Boogie Down is in the building. Hey, Takara. Good to see you in the live, my dear. Thank you for coming by the shop. Hey, Mary from Washington State. Hey, Sabrina. Hi, Sabrina from Virginia. Cynthia holding it down in Texas as always. Amy's in Vermont. Amy, I went to the mountain school in Vershire, Vermont, believe it or not. This Bronx witch spent 6 months living up in the mountains in Vermont. Vermont holds a special place in my heart. Hello, everybody. Hey, Lady Leo, good to see you. I feel like I haven't seen you in a live in a minute. Good to see you. Hey, Trisha, welcome. How is everybody doing? Hello. All right, you guys. So again, if you are registered for this webinar, then you received an email with the downloadable link to a flippable workbook that you can print out for keeping your notes. It looks like this. It's got lots of great information about me, important information about you, a quiz for you to take, some important notes, as well as blank pages for you to record the what, the why, and the how of every single one of the 10 steps that I'm going to be bringing to you tonight. So hopefully you're able to download that. And if you're not, like I said, totally okay. Just grab yourself enough paper. If you are tuning in on YouTube, you may not have registered for this webinar because this webinar is being live streamed publicly onto the Beyond BronxWitch YouTube channel. So welcome to all the YouTubers in the building. YouTubers, I want you to make sure that you do register for this webinar. You don't have to do it right now. You can do it after the webinar is over. But the reason why I want you to register is because that is going to make sure that you get all of the follow-up information. Cynthia said you registered, but you didn't receive an email with the link. First of all, Cynthia, when you register, the link is given to you right there when you register, so you don't need an email. There's a purple screen that pops up when you register that says save these 2 links to the 2 sessions. So you don't need an email. But then an email did go out to everybody who registered. So if you registered, you would have gotten that email. Check your spam box. That is often where mass emails tend to go. And if you didn't get it, then that just means you didn't actually register. You might not have actually clicked all the way through to the end, in which case I encourage you to go back and properly register for the webinar. You can do that by clicking on the link in the description of this video. And you can also register for the webinar at bronxwitch.com/coaching. And the reason why I want you to register for the webinar, even though you're able to watch it right now, is because we are going to be sending out some follow-up emails after this that I want to make sure that you get. We're going to be doing a giveaway, and the winner is going to find out by email. Enrollment information is going to go out by email, and it's going to go to everybody who has registered. So again, if you are watching on YouTube and you didn't register for this, that's totally fine. Hang out, watch, enjoy. But at the end, make sure that you go back and actually register so that you get your follow-up emails, and make sure to check your spam box for emails, your spam filters. Everybody's got their own settings, and your spam filters are just trying to save you, okay, from all of the nonsense and all of that good stuff. So sometimes that means emails that you do want will get sent there. So make sure to check for those because it's a pretty automated system. If you did properly register, you will get the emails. So make sure that you register, okay? Now, I want to take a moment to introduce a very special person in the building. Yes! She's already been saying hi to you guys down in the chat, but we're going to go ahead and say hello to
Mm,
Alexis. Hi, Alexis. Oh my gosh, yes, vibes. I love your
yeah,
setup.
you
Of
know,
course, our
the
energy
color.
healing have the most beautiful setup.
Hi, everybody. How are you guys tonight? I hope everyone's doing well. I'm in the chat, so if you need me, just drop a question down below and I'll be sure to answer you guys.
Yes, thank you so, so much. I appreciate you. I'm going to send you back down to the chat. Thank you for being with us. I want to remind you guys that this network is not just all about Allie. You know what I'm saying? There are some really powerful, amazing, dope ass witches that I am so blessed to be able to partner with and work with, and who really are helping me to make all of this happen for you guys. They have classes in the online portal. They are in the Coven community, dropping useful posts, sharing exclusive YouTube videos, leading sound bowl sessions, discussion spaces, the book club. They're all over the place doing lots of fun things in the online portal. So create your account. It's totally free. Get into the online portal and take a look around, and get to know not just me, but the other witches that are in there that are bringing tons of useful information. Alexis is the owner of Electric Wellness, and she has several classes in the online portal on healing with crystals, meditating with crystals, using crystals to make elixirs and potions. She's got a pendulum masterclass that is like incredible, super thorough, tons of really great information. If you feel like you don't really know how to work with a pendulum, you will at the end of that class. So definitely check out the portal and get to know Alexis and all of the other witches that are in our network, okay? Yes, absolutely. Thank you. Thank you for being here. Alexis is going to be helping us out moderating in the chat. So as we move through the webinar, because we have a lot of information to cover and I want to really focus on that and not get too distracted, Alexis is going to be able to answer any questions that you have that might pop up while I'm talking. Okay. So anything at all, don't be afraid. Just drop it in the chat. Alexis will do her best to answer you or point you in the direction of where you can find the answers. Okay. All right. So does everybody have their pens, their papers, or their workbooks with them? It is time to get into it. Again, if you are just coming into the building, whether you're joining on StreamYard or on YouTube, I am Alysha Kravetz, aka the Bronx Witch, and this is my webinar, 10 Steps to Becoming a Better Witch. This is my blueprint for how to go from baby witch to better witch. And I created this as a result of my own 25 plus year journey as a practicing witch and tarot reader. And so I'm really, really excited to share this with you guys, because this is definitely one of those things where it's like, man, if I had this when I was a kid, so I didn't have this when I was a kid, but that's okay. I wasn't supposed to. I was supposed to go on the journey that I went on so that I could create this for the next witch. So it is my honor to be here with you guys, and I am so grateful that you're tuning in right now. So the first thing I want to do is I want to make sure everybody knows that we are doing a giveaway. I'm going to pull this up on the screen even larger. I want you guys to go ahead, pull out your phones. I know you have them right near you. Pull out your phones, or you can take a screenshot if you're on your phone. And I want you to post the image in the center of this slide on your stories, or if you don't have Instagram and you're a YouTuber, on your YouTube shorts. And if you can't do that, Alexis is going to share an email address with you guys, bronxwitchmembers@gmail.com, where you can send your picture of this. Okay, I want to make sure I include as many people as possible and not discriminate against anybody for not having social media. But if you are on Instagram, you are on YouTube, I want you to take a picture of the image in the center of your screen, and I want you to post that right now in your stories and tag BronxWitch, that's me, and the shop, BronxWitch HQ. Every person who does so is going to be entered to win a free private coaching session with me. You are going to get a 1-hour spiritual coaching session where we can talk about absolutely anything in your craft that I can help you with. Those sessions will happen between February 2nd and February 4th. So what will happen is, after this session, we will be choosing a winner. The winner will receive an email from us in about 24 hours with a link for you to pick a time on one of those days to meet with me virtually for an hour, okay? So I'm going to leave that up on the screen so that everybody has a chance to take a picture and make their posts. And while you guys are doing that, I am going to give you a little overview of what we are going to do tonight. First of all, we are going to start out with a little bit of information about me. Some of you might be completely new to this platform and not know me very well, not know much about my journey or how I got here. And I want to make sure that you know that, because as you guys are seeking teachers, it's important to know who those people are, where their credentials come from, who teaches them, and all of that good stuff. We're going to talk a little bit about who you are, because that's really the most important part. Why are you here? What was it that led you to log into this live or register for this webinar? And why is it that you feel like you could use some help in becoming a better witch? After that, I'm going to break down my 10 steps for you, because that's why we're all here, right? And that is the most important part for you to be taking notes. So make sure that you have a pen and paper with you, or that you download the workbook that I made for you for easy note keeping. When you are taking your notes, there are 3 things I want you to focus on for each of the 10 steps. And that is the what, the why, and the how. What is the step? Why is it going to transform you from baby witch to better witch? And how exactly do you go about actually executing that step? All right. I'm going to talk about other things. I'm going to throw in some stories. I'm going to give you some examples and illustrations. But the most important things for you to write down is the what, the why, and the how for all 10 steps. Once we get through that, I want you guys to stick around, because in addition to the giveaway, I am also going to be extending a very special offer that is just for folks who are tuning into this webinar tonight. All right. So if you can stick around, I encourage you to do so. If you do have to leave early, I will be leaving this webinar available for the next 24 hours, whether you're on YouTube or whether you go back into your registration email and click on the link you used to get here originally, you will still be able to watch this webinar over again. So if you need to peace out early, come back within the next 24 hours and make sure you watch the end of this webinar so that you get that special offer. I don't want you to miss out on that just because you had to leave early. But keep in mind, all replays are going to go away after 24 hours, and Alexis will be in touch with you with some other options for how you can watch the webinar if you miss out on the readily available on-demand replays. Okay, we are going to still make it possible for you to come back and watch this again if you need to, but the links that you currently have will no longer work. So do come back within the next 24 hours if you have to peace out before that special offer. And then if we have time, I'm going to take some questions at the end. My goal is that you have no questions. All right. When I get to the end of a class, the end of a workshop, I often find that folks don't have questions for me. And I kind of take that as a badge of honor at this point. Okay. In the past, I used to be really self-conscious about that. I would get to the end of, 2 hours of talking and I'd be like, so do you guys have any questions? And people would be like, no, you pretty much covered it. And I was like, am I doing something wrong? But I realized, no, Witch, you're doing something right. I aim to be thorough. I aim to be clear. And so if I do my job well, then by the time we get to the end, you won't have any questions. But if you do, I am going to open it up for questions at the end. So if anything occurs to you while I'm talking, do jot them down. Okay, and we'll talk about them at the end. And of course, again, Alexis is in the chat. If you have any emergency questions, administrative things, something wacky going on with your feed, go ahead and drop it down, and Alexis will do her best to help you out there. Okay? All right. So who am I? What's up, witches? In case you don't know, I am Alysha Kravetz, aka Bronx Witch. I am born and raised in the Bronx, New York. Yes, I am a native New Yorker, a dying breed, sometimes I think. Born and raised here, haven't left because I'm just a hometown girl at heart. I absolutely love the Bronx. It is not always the easiest place to be, but it is a very special place to me. And I am honored to be of service to the people of the Bronx by bringing them magic and spirituality. But way before that ever happened, I was just a little kid running around. I was adopted by a very strict Southern Christian family. And so it was a lot of time spent in church. That was pretty much what my weekends were all about. I was on the choir, the YPD. My mom was on the floral club. My aunt was a missionary. So we were always, always in church. And so as a result, my exposure to anything in the world that wasn't church really was non-existent. But I had questions in Sunday school, and I had questions of my mom about church, about religion, and the answers that I got were really unsatisfying. So at around the age of 12, I started exploring. There was a show called Charmed that came on TV, and the internet came into our homes, and these things kind of collided to give me exposure to things that I'd never knew about. And I became really curious about what this whole witchcraft thing was. I learned about Wicca and self dedicated at the age of 14. My sister, who's down in the bottom corner, I think that's a drunken Christmas night at Waffle House in Allendale, South Carolina. I think that's where we took that picture. From the look in my eyes, I think it's Waffle House. But me and my sister used to run around having lots of fun. And in the top right corner are my two besties, my sisters, my besties. They were all very supportive of me being a witch and being interested in witchcraft, even though none of them shared that interest. They were always like, okay, girl, yeah, we'll go with you to this crystal store again. All right. So they were supportive of me, even though they didn't share that interest. And when I was in my early 20s, I met Joe, the man that I would eventually marry. And he was the same way. Very supportive, no real issues with what I had going on, but not necessarily a practitioner, certainly not a practitioner himself. And then my mom, who is up in the corner there, smiling, her bright, beautiful smile, was a very loving mother, but a very Christian, mother, and she was very much opposed to anything that I was doing with witchcraft, which forced me to have to hide it at home. You know, I had an altar that was a collection of uh, tools that I had stolen, candelabras and glassware that I had stolen from around the house and that I kept tied up in a cloth under my bed. All of my witchy books, like my Silver Raven Wolf Teen Witch, was hidden behind some of my school books. My Book of Shadows actually was a medical textbook that I ripped the inside out of and replaced with printouts from the internet and pages I ripped out of magazines. Um, so the environment around me wasn't the best. It wasn't the most encouraging, and it was definitely very, very lonely. You know, I had to kind of keep my interest in witchcraft off to the side while, you know, the rest of my life happened over in another sphere. So that wasn't easy. That was definitely very, very challenging. But I was so called to this lifestyle, and I was so interested in being authentic to myself and not doing things because other people said that I had to, that I just couldn't help myself. And so, even though it was difficult, I continued on my journey, learning as much as I could, doing as much as I could, even though I was pretty much on my own for that process. Fast forward to my mid 20s, and I had been on a journey of pursuing law. I had told my mom at like 7 or 8 years old that I was going to be a lawyer, and I pretty much stuck to that for most of my life. That is what everyone knew me for. Oh, Alysha's going to go to law school, she's going to be a lawyer. And around 25 or so, after 2 years of law school at the George Washington University Law School in DC, I decided to let go of that journey and instead return to New York to get married to that boyfriend of mine, who became my husband. And when I left law school, this was a super huge, big, big, big moment for me. And not just because it meant that I suddenly had $100,000 of debt and no career to pay it off. Um, it was a huge, pivotal moment for me because I had the opportunity to completely shift my identity. All the way up until this point in my life, I was Alysha, the kid that's going to be a lawyer, right? And now I could do something else. I could be somebody else if I wanted to. And I said, I want to. I want to be the practitioner. I want to be the tarot reader. I want to be the witch that I envision of myself in my mind. And now I can reinvent myself. And that is something that I want to be a part of the picture that I am forecasting to the world. So I started to take my magical practices a lot more seriously. Up until this point, witchcraft was something that I would like, you know, turn to on a rainy day when I had like some free time and could flip through my books or go to visit a crystal shop. Or if I had a problem, you know, I would pull out a candle and try to cast a spell to address that issue. But at this point in my life is when I got really serious about my studies. I started taking classes and looking for teachers and mentors. And once I did that, things started to really speed up for me. I found myself featured in a tarot deck my first year of reading professionally. I found myself doing vending events and reading for the public and kind of just putting myself out there. This is when my YouTube channel was born, and BronxWitch Bodega, my herbal teas and candle products line, started to take root and become something. I started selling on Etsy, and just really quickly, all of these things, as soon as I said, I'm going to get serious about living the lifestyle of a witch and really embodying this identity and really learning the skills that I believe a witch has, a lot started to change for me very rapidly. That picture down in the bottom right is a very special one. That hug that you are seeing is the very first tarot reading that I ever did publicly. I was at an event, and a beautiful photographer happened to catch this moment. So I always feel like this picture really kind of captures the essence of that turning point for me, when I realized that pursuing my craft wasn't just something that was going to impact my life, it was potentially going to impact other people's lives as well. And then this little superstar over here came into the world. If you see that super cool kid over on the side, that is my niece, Hayden. Hayden is 9 years old now, my sister's one and only daughter. And a lot changed for me when she was born, just before I turned 30 years old. I realized that I had the opportunity to really be somebody's auntie, and I got to decide what type of auntie I wanted to be. And I realized that I really wanted to teach this kid some things that maybe other people would not teach her. And I wanted to be a safe space for her to be whoever she wanted to be. And I didn't want any of the things that she was experiencing growing up in the South, growing up in a Christian home, to limit her in any way. And so pursuing my craft and being serious about really evolving as a witch took on a whole different flavor, because a part of me felt like I was doing it for her. And if you follow me on Instagram at BronxWitch, you might know that the other day I posted a clip of myself setting up my travel altar on one of my trips to visit her last summer. And I set up the camera because I just wanted to make some content for my channel. You know, I just was going to sort of maybe make some informational videos about travel altars or something like that. I wasn't expecting to capture this moment. But I happened to capture the moment where she turned to me as I was getting ready to set up my altar and asked me if she could one day have my travel altar. And I was so shocked by it that I had to ask her to like repeat the question. I was like, wait, what? What'd you say? And she was like, can I have that one day? I want to have that one day. And I knew the camera was rolling, so I had to kind of keep it together. I feel kind of emotional about it. I'm going to try not to like get too worked up about it. But when when I think about it, it's just such a special moment for me. And I said, "Yeah, sure, okay." And her response was, "Okay, but you got to teach me how to use it." And I was like, saying all the words and all the things right now. That was really special for me. So, um, yeah, I'm excited for you guys to step into your identity and your power as witches, because it will have an impact on the people around you, the people that you care about the most. And as a result of that journey, as a result of me taking my craft and myself seriously, and as a result of me following the 10 steps that I'm about to share with you, we get to where we are now. And I am now the big boss witch that you see before you, the better witch that you see before you. My life now is very magical, and I'm super grateful for it. I'm grateful for the teachers that have come my way. One of the folks on this slide is Brother Moses, one of my hoodoo teachers, someone I respect immensely and have learned a lot from. I am really grateful that I am connecting to my neighborhood and to the Bronx and meeting people who are making changes and having an influence on a political level. That picture on the bottom is Vice President Bronx Borough President Vanessa Gibson. She's a local politician here, and those are the types of people that I'm spending my time around. I'm connecting with folks that are movers and shakers who are making an impact in the world. And this past week, I sat down and had my first conversation with a millionaire and got to explain to him what my business is like, what BronxWitch HQ is all about, my spiritual shop and work share space that I now own here in the Bronx. I am manifesting my millionaire reality with every day, with magic, with intention, and it is quickly coming to be. I am leading retreats. I am so incredibly blessed that I got to take a group of witches to our very first BronxWitch staycation this past October. And yes, there will be another one. So stay tuned for Staycation 2024 if you want to come with us and spend a weekend with a bunch of witches in the woods. But it was incredible for me to be able to expose a bunch of witches to this lifestyle and treat them to rituals, to workshops, and most importantly, to community, the opportunity to meet other witches. And I am so blessed that my mom, that bright shining star down at the bottom of the slide, has gone from literally wrestling candles out of my hands when I was 16, yelling things at me like, "You're not going to bring that devil worship into my house," to proudly walking around wearing BronxWitch merch and telling everybody she knows that I'm a witch and I own a shop in New York and I'm a tarot reader and I've been on TV and all of these things that she loves to brag about and share with people. That part of it is probably, I think, the most tangible evidence of how following these 10 steps has changed my life. That I was hiding my altars from this woman at one point in my life, to 20 years later, she's rocking my merch to go feed food to the neighborhood people with her church friends. That's huge. And I want you to have that type of transformation in your life too. But I do not want it to take 25 years. Okay. My journey took 25 years. I do not want it to take that long for you. All right. So I am going to break down my 10 steps for you, and we're going to really, really, really speed this up for you. I want to talk about you, because that was a bunch of info about me, and it's important that you know who your teacher is. But you are the reason why you are here. And there is probably a reason that compelled you to either register for this webinar or click on this video when you saw that I was live. And some of those reasons might be that whenever you talk about the craft or you let people know that you're into witchy stuff, you feel the need to call yourself a baby witch or to qualify in some way that you're just getting started or that you don't know very much because you're not quite ready to confidently say that you are a witch. That might be because you feel like you don't have enough knowledge. It might be because you feel like you don't have enough hands-on experience. But for whatever reason, you don't feel like you can really just say, I am a witch, and believe it in your own soul. You might be here because you've been reading lots of books and you've been watching lots of videos, maybe taking classes, and maybe you do have a lot of knowledge, or maybe you do have some hands-on experience because you've been experimenting with spell casting or with performing your own rituals. But you might be at the point where all of these videos and books are starting to feel a little bit repetitive. It's not that they're not helpful. They're all really helpful. I'm so grateful that more and more voices are coming into the conversation and sharing their knowledge about the craft. But after a while, you're probably going to get to a point where you feel like you've educated yourself enough on the foundations, and it's time to go a step further. But you might not know what that step is. If you do know what that step is, you might be hesitating to take it because you might feel really alone or unsupported by your loved ones. Maybe you do feel like you could call yourself a witch. Maybe you do feel confident because you've had some success and you've had some experience in walking with the craft. But you might not have any friends, any loved ones, any coworkers, any community that can support you in that. And so you feel really alone and are looking for something that will fulfill that emptiness. I see some yeses in the comments, so I know that that's resonating for some of you. And for others of you, you might have community, you might have experience, you might have a lot of knowledge, and you are ready for some more hands-on experience, some group activities, or the opportunity to cast more spells or perform more rituals. and you're not really ready to dedicate to somebody's coven or initiate into some type of a group. And so you're wondering, like, how can I get that type of vibe without having to commit to a tradition or, become a sworn in member of somebody's group? You want to remain a solitary because you value your independence, but you realize that some hands on training, some one on one teaching could really benefit you. So these are just some of the reasons why you might be here today. In your workbook, I have included a journaling section for you to take a moment to actually write down why you are here. Maybe one of these reasons is your reason and I got it spot on, but maybe there's something else that called you to be here today. And I want you to take a moment to reflect on that and ask yourself what it is that you want to get out of these 10 steps, what you want to get out of this experience, so we can make sure that you get that. So we're going to get into the steps. Let me actually go back for a second because I see some chatting in the comments, and I know that we've got like a couple dozen or so people in the room. I want to make sure that everybody is present, everybody is still with me and focused and ready, because now we're going to hit the ground and go into these 10 steps. And I want to make sure that I have your attention, that you've got your pens and your workbooks or your notebooks and you're ready to take these things down, because you're not going to remember all of this information. And if you don't put it into effect immediately, that's okay. I want you to have it written down so you can come back to it at a later date. So go ahead and drop a witch emoji in the chat for me and let me know that you are still in the room, you're paying attention, you've got your notebooks, and you are ready for these 10 steps. Let me see some witch emojis. Let's see who's in the building. Let me get my spectacles on here. Okay, Journey's ready. She's got her notebook. Love it. Notebook emoji. Monica's ready. Alexis is ready. All of Alexis's personalities are ready. Elizabeth is ready. Excellent. The witches of BronxWitch, witches of HQ are ready. Fantastic. Takara is ready. Very good. Very good. There's like 25 of you in here. So I want to make sure that 25 of you are ready. I don't want anybody to get lost in the sauce or feel like they are being left behind. Amy Jo is ready. Fabulous. I love it. Full moon. Yeah, we just had a full moon in Leo. That's big vibes. Laura is ready. Fantastic. I want to see a couple more of you. Elizabeth is ready. MC Michael is ready. Or maybe it's MC Michelle. My middle name is Michelle. It might be MC Michelle. Sabrina's ready. Fantastic. Enid is ready and looking for the witch emojis. That's fine. That will suffice. Kat is ready. Cynthia's ready. Okay, good, 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 good. All right, I'm happy. I'm happy. I'm happy to see it. A lot of you are ready. Okay, if anybody else is not, now is your warning. Ashley's in the building. Great to see you, my dear. So glad that you are tuning in. Ashley's ready. Laura's ready. Wonderful. Okay. Anybody else who is not ready, go ahead and get yourself ready. I do not want you to be left out here. Jocelyn is ready. Fabulous. All right, let's start. Let's get into it. Step 1 in going from baby witch to better witch is unveiling your true self. Now, when I was a kid and people would say things like, you really have to get to know yourself, I used to be really annoyed by that statement because what the does that mean? What do you mean, get to know myself? I am myself. How could I not know myself? This is a ridiculous statement. Big ready, yes. That's a ridiculous statement. What do you mean? It wasn't until much later in my life that I realized what that meant. And it wasn't what I had thought. I only knew this self, my existential self, my body and my mind, my identity, my physical body self. I did not know my true self, which is the energy that is contained within this body, the energy that is connected to the divine, to the cosmos, that has always been here and that long after my body dies will remain. I did not know that part of myself. The analogy that I like to give to people is when we first come into this world, we are like those paper cutout dolls, the ones that you could like fold clothes onto. They're just a blank slate. From the moment you were born, and really even before that, your parents, your classmates, your coworkers, your siblings, and even society at large begins to put post-it notes on you and starts to label you. Before you even come out of the womb, somebody has decided for you that you are a boy or a girl, that you are black or white, that you're a Christian or a Muslim, that you're a sister or a brother. Once you come out of the womb, people start putting other notes on you, like you're shy, you're bossy, you're hardworking. And you start actually participating in this activity by putting labels on yourself. And these labels are good, bad, what have you. No judgment on the labels. But they begin to cover you so completely that being able to see your true self becomes impossible. And the frustrating thing about post-it notes is they're only attached on one end. The other end is free to flap in the wind. So these post-it notes are loud and distracting. And they make it really difficult for us to see ourselves for what we really are, which is divine energy. And our physical bodies and our physical minds are designed for one thing and one thing only: survival of the body and the mind. It's fascinating if you do research on this. It's actually kind of horrifying. But your body will literally kill your brain in order to try to survive, and vice versa. Your brain will shut down parts of your body and allow them to die off in order to preserve itself. And in tandem, those two work together to tell you all kinds of lies in order to scare you away from the unknown in the attempt to protect you and ensure your survival. So your body and your brain literally fill you with fear on a regular basis so that you don't approach the unknown and don't somehow harm yourself. Your true self, on the other hand, has no idea what fear is. Your true self is not programmed for survival because it survives. It cannot die. It cannot be born. So it has no need whatsoever to be programmed for survival and therefore no need to lie to you. What is in alignment with your true self is what is truly good for you. So how do you unveil your true self? How do you take off all of these post-it notes, or at the very least, peek underneath them? There are several ways. 3 of my favorite are meditation, astrological mapping, and prayer. And I like to focus on these 3 things because these 3 things, or these 3 approaches, attack 3 different areas of your existence. I'm a Reiki healer, and in Reiki, we learn that we have more than just a physical body. We also have an intellectual and a spiritual body. Meditation fosters emotional calm and mental clarity, allowing us to quiet the physical body so that we can see our true selves. Astrological mapping allows us to understand how our true self is connected to the cosmos so we can understand its nature. And prayer, which is a word that might trigger you, and I completely understand why, allows you to connect and unveil the truth of your spiritual body. And when it comes to the word prayer, I do know that that can be a little bit of an unsettling term because unfortunately, some religious groups have taken words like prayer and kind of co opted them as their own, as if they own them. But when I say prayer, I am just talking about a carefully and politely worded petition to the universe. And our carefully worded and politely put petitions to the universe allow us to get to know and reveal what our spiritual self is really all about. You could do one or all three of these types of activities in order to help you to unveil your true self. Pull back the post-it notes. Now, once you unveil your true self, the next step is to connect with your true self. So now that you see what you really are, how do you actually work with that part of yourself? How do you make decisions from that space? And why would you want to make decisions from that space? Well, you want to make decisions from that space because the power to shift energy comes from that space, your energetic self. And as witches, people have a lot of misconceptions about what we do. At the end of the day, all we're doing is recognizing that we are energy, realizing that there's energy all around us, and that because we are made of the same thing as everything around us, we can shift the things around us. And we can manipulate and move energy in the direction we want it to go for our own benefit or the benefit of perhaps our loved ones or our community. So when you are casting magic, you are not doing it with your physical body. You are doing it from your true self, from your energetic body. And if you don't know how to connect to that part of yourself, then you're not really going to have control over making these things happen in the energetic world. Holler back. Now, how do you connect to your true self? I think one of the most effective ways is to establish a mindfulness practice. And mindfulness is just any practice, it could be anything, that allows you to be fully present in the moment. Meaning, I'm not suffering through the trauma of something from the past, nor am I worried about the hypothetical of what is to come in the future. I am simply here in this moment. Your true self lives in this moment. And if you can also bring your consciousness, your awareness into the present moment, you can literally sit down and have a conversation with your true self. And you can say things like, true self, I would like romance in my life. Let's shift the energy around us to bring in a romantic partner and see those results play out in the physical world. Developing mental clarity and emotional calm will be important to quieting all the noise, all of the distractions, and all of the compulsive behaviors so that you can sit in mindfulness. Now, I just spent a lot of time talking about step 1 and step 2. We're going to move a lot faster going forward, but I spend a lot of time on these 2 steps because out of all of the 10 steps, these are 2 out of the 3 most important. We're going to talk about the 3rd most important later on, but for now, 2 out of the 3 most important is unveiling your true self and connecting with your true self. This is the foundation of everything that a witch is able to do. So if you can do this, you will unlock something incredibly powerful for yourself. Okay. Now, step 3 is to understand the flow of the natural world and to go with it rather than against it. Yes, one of the tenets of the witch is to know thyself. So important. Your true self is not separate from the natural world. And I put that in quotation marks because it's actually really kind of crazy that we call it the natural world, as if somehow we are unnatural or subnatural or out of natural. We are a part of the natural world. We have created this kind of nonsense existence where we live apart from it and do not know how to connect with it anymore. But your true self is still very much connected to the natural world. Your true self feels how the natural world ebbs and flows, how its energy shifts. Your true self responds to how the cosmos is changing, how the natural world of this planet is changing. And when we try to get our true self to do things against the flow of nature, that is when we run into some real difficulties. And if you've ever tried to cast spells and had them be unsuccessful, part of the problem might be because you were moving in a way that did not go with the flow of nature. Back to my example of calling romance into my life. If I'm trying to call romance into my life when everything in the natural world is saying it is time to rest, it is time to go within, it is time to not socialize, not connect with people, do inner healing, do some decluttering, do some detoxification, then guess what? Any spell you cast to bring romance into your life is probably not going to be very effective because you are fighting against the flow of the natural world rather than waiting until the time is right and going with it. So, how do you get back in touch with the flow of nature? One of the most effective things you can do is to create your own wheel of the year. And we do this in my Magic Intensive. This is actually the homework that follows the flow of nature, connecting with nature module. One of your homework assignments is to actually look at the different wheels of the year that I educate you about. The Neo Pagan Wheel of the Year, the Gregorian Calendar Wheel of the Year, the Solar Wheel of the Year, the Lunar Wheel of the Year. I'm going to teach you about several different types of wheels of the year. But then you are going to go and create your own based on your intentions and what you feel connected to. You're going to decide which of the energetic vibrations and flows in the natural world you want to align yourself with so that you can start planning and timing things out in both your mundane and your magical life in a way that it's going to be incredibly effective. Step 4 is to learn the mystic art of divination. What is divination? Divination is the practice of obtaining information that you could not see or know with your human faculties. It's essentially tapping into the energy of the cosmos, the universe, the Akashic record, whatever you want to call it, and drawing forward information that you couldn't see with your eyeballs or know with your brain. This is important and going to help you go from baby witch to better witch because you are going to be able to have almost behind the scenes information into your own life. And this is going to allow you to more effectively manipulate energy in the direction that you want it to go. You will be able to see blockages that you couldn't see with your human eyes. You are going to be able to know about obstacles that you couldn't have known with your brain. It's important to know that the past and the future do not really exist. Even the second ago, when I was talking about learning the mystic art of divination, that moment in time is gone. And at 9:30 tonight, that moment, 2 minutes from now, does not yet exist. When we do get to 9:30, it will simply be the present. So because the past and the future do not really exist, it is important to be able to have a way of gathering enough information to process how the past is affecting your present and how your present might affect what we call the future. So, how do you learn the art of divination? The first thing you are going to want to do is you're going to want to learn what types of information divination can actually bring you. Because, for example, it cannot tell you the future, that does not exist. So learn what divination can actually tell you. What messages can you receive through divination? And then explore the different tools that are used to obtain this information. Because, oh my God, tarot, 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 tarot. Everybody and they mama and they baby's mama is a tarot reader nowadays. Have you noticed? Ever since COVID, everybody is a tarot reader. And if you are a new witch, you might think that tarot is the only way to obtain messages and information that you cannot see with your eyes or know with your human brain. And that is not the case. There are dozens of different tools that have been used, many of them for thousands of years, as tools of divination, tools that can be used to decipher and discern information that your human eyes, your human brain could not know. And if you only think that tarot is your only option, you may not be drawn to that. And you might be like, divination, not that important. Not true. It is absolutely key to becoming a better witch. Having a divination practice and understanding what messages you can get from it is key. Now, the good news here is you do not need to become a diviner. It is totally fine to have a trusted diviner that you go to for information. But what you need to know is what type of information can I get from a diviner so you know when you need to go and get more info than what you have. And it's important to know what types of tools are out there because each tool works better or worse for obtaining certain types of information. Some tools are great for yes or no questions. Some tools are great for deeper spiritual exploration. Some tools are really great just to find out whether or not he is in fact sleeping with his baby mama again. Okay? So these different tools are useful for different types of information, and you're going to want to know which ones you should turn to when you need greater insight than what your human body can know. Casting crystals sounds fantastic. So in the Magic Intensive, that is what we talk about. We don't learn how to read with any particular tool. We talk about the types of information that divination gives you and the types of tools that are out there and what types of messages come through those different types so you can choose the right one for you. But in the Better Witch Magic Intensive Kit, I do provide everyone with a pendulum so that we can do some practicing with divination together, and that's a part of your homework. Step 5 is creating sacred sanctuaries. How do we create energetically open and aligned environments to be in? And why does that matter in the first place? It matters because the type of work that you do as a witch is energetic work. You are manipulating, identifying, manipulating, shifting energy. And so, if you are trying to call something into your life and the energy in the space around you is filled with stagnation and blockage, you are probably not going to be very successful. So, creating a space around you where the energy is open and aligned with your intentions is going to minimize the chance that something's going to get in the way of that request that you are sending out into the energetic world. How do you create sacred spaces? You want to first learn how to set them up. Everything from sacred geometry to altar structure, particular tools, different materials can play a part in the energy of the environment around you. You want to learn how to cleanse space. How do you actually move stagnant energy out of the way or release low vibrational energy that might be lingering? And you want to learn how to consecrate sacred space. Consecrating is the act of dedicating something for a specific purpose. One of the most effective ways to practice this is to build, dedicate, and maintain an altar. An altar is like a contained little sacred space. And if you can create an altar that is cleansed and consecrated and that is energetically open and in alignment with your intentions, and when you go to that altar, the things that you ask for, the things that you do there actually manifest, well, you could probably also do that in a room. And you could probably also do that in a whole house. And you could maybe even do it in your neighborhood or in your state or your country or the world. So by starting with an altar, learning how to create one, cleanse one, and consecrate one, you learn how to do those three things generally. And now everywhere you go, you have the ability to shift the energy so that it is open and aligned with what you are trying to do in that space. Very, very helpful step. I want to take a moment while we're at the halfway point to remind you guys about the giveaway. We've had a few more people come in the room since we started, and I want to make sure that no one misses out on this opportunity. I am giving away a free private coaching session with me. It is a one-on-one hour-long virtual session where we can deep dive into your craft and talk about absolutely anything that you would like assistance with. This session is going to happen between the 2nd of February and the 4th of February. You get to choose your time slot. And to enter into this giveaway, you just need to take a picture of this slide and post it in your stories if you're on Instagram. You can post it in your shorts if you're on YouTube, or you can take a picture and email it to us at bronxwitchmembers@gmail.com. Alexis is going to drop that email in the chat once again in case you missed it. I want to make sure everybody can enter, and I don't want to discriminate and only focus on people who have social media. So if you don't have Instagram, you don't have YouTube, or perhaps you're just not able to post something like this publicly, because trust me, I get it. You can take a picture of it and just email it to us, and we will add you to the pool of people that we're choosing from. Everyone who posts about this session and posts this slide will be entered to win. You'll get an email from us in about 24 hours with a link to set up your session with me. Step 6, aligning with a tradition. In case you don't already know this, there are about 51 paths, practices, and traditions out there. For those of you who are not fluent in African American vernacular English, let me translate 5011 for you. There are a fuck ton of paths, practices, and traditions out there. Okay? And it is overwhelming, especially if you don't have one of these traditions in your family or somewhere to start. Do I learn about hoodoo? Do I learn about voodoo? Should I be practicing Wicca? Do I learn about Druidism? Should I be learning about Santeria? Should I initiate into Ifa? Should I be a Palo practitioner? Should I be doing folk magic? Am I a diviner? Should I just do tarot readings? Maybe I shouldn't cast spells at all. These are overwhelming questions. The internet, God bless it, has given us so much exposure to traditions from all over the world, which I believe ultimately is going to bring us together. The more we know about each other, the less we fear about each other, the more we can come together. And I think that's great. But the problem for a new witch is having exposure to all of these different possible paths can be really confusing, really overwhelming. We're all afraid of culturally appropriating. We're all afraid of getting involved in a path that might not be good for us or that maybe even somehow be harmful to us. We're all very concerned about spending and wasting our money, wasting our time, initiating, taking classes, or getting involved in groups that ultimately are not for us. So aligning with a tradition that is right for you is going to be helpful. To do that, you want to get a broad overview of as many traditions as possible. Because there's a good chance that you only have a good handle on a handful. You may have heard of a bunch, but you probably only have a good handle on what about a handful of them really are all about. If you had a good handle on what many of them were about, that by process elimination would allow you to cross a lot of things off the list before you even got started. The other thing that you can do is to learn what questions to ask before you start pursuing these things, because there's nothing wrong with learning. Learn, 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 learn. But if you're going to actually take the leap of starting to go down these paths, you definitely want to know what questions to ask so that you don't waste your time bothering going down a path just to realize, I don't really think this is for me. Now you've spent a bunch of money, you wasted a bunch of time, you bought the ritual cloaks, you did the whole thing. You know what I mean? So learn what those questions are. And that is what we focus on in this module in the Magic Intensive. I talk about what questions you need to ask before you even start going down the road of getting serious about a tradition. So you can very quickly assess whether or not it's for you or it's something that you could just learn about but not have to take seriously. Step 7, recognize and align with elemental alchemy. Why? Because we are on planet Earth. And on the planet Earth, the energy of the elements are the most accessible energies to all of us. That is because our bodies, someone said I have several cloaks. Yes. Our bodies are made up of the elements earth, air, fire, water, spirit. Our actual physical bodies are made up of those elements. And if you've ever pulled your birth chart, then you will know that astrologically, you are also made up of these elements. And the beauty of this is you don't have to go anywhere or do anything to connect with these energies. You don't need to know an ancestor. You don't need to connect with a culture's deity. You don't need to have a class or an initiation. If you want to connect with the element of fire, you can do that right now from where you are sitting. And you don't even really need a candle like I have lit over here, though that would help. You don't even need flame to connect with the fire, the element of fire, because you have it within yourself. That's a little deep. We go deep into that in the class. We spend 2 hours talking about this and then 2 weeks doing homework to really uncover what elements we are all made out of. But you don't even need to touch the physical element in order to connect with its energy because as a creature on earth, you are already imbued with all of those elements' energies. What you do want to do is you want to know how to identify the correspondences of these elements. Does the element of earth have a hot, fast moving energy? Or does the element of earth have a slow, patient, rooted kind of energy? And then once you know that, you want to know what your own elemental makeup is. Physically in your body, do you have a lot of fire? Do you have a lot of water? If there's anybody in the room who cries really easily or who sweats really easily, your physical makeup has a lot of water in it. Knowing that is going to be helpful when it comes to working magic, connecting with spirit, doing rituals. For example, we know that fire has an energy of transformation and rebirth. We know that fire, even though it's incredibly destructive and burns everything down, in its wake, it leaves behind incredibly fertile ground and lots of biomes in order to regenerate Earth. If you have a lot of fire in your physical and your astrological makeup, guess what? That means you have that power too. That means you are going to be much better at transforming things dramatically, tearing things down and recreating them than the next witch who might have more water in their makeup and might not be as good at that type of transformation. So, by understanding the correspondences of the elements and how these elements are a part of your own makeup, you're going to really tap into what your gifts are on this earth. And you're not going to have to go far to exercise them at all because, like I said, the energy of the elements are readily accessible to you. This is why some witches can cast powerful magic with just the lighting of a candle, or with just one glass of water, or just by speaking to a crystal. They understand the correspondence of that element, they understand its energy, and they have identified it within themselves. They know how to connect with it on a deep level, and it doesn't take a lot at all. But you do have to know how to do it. So that's what we cover in the intensive. Step 8 is following the laws of the universe. For me, step 7 and step 8 come together to form the basis of really effective spell casting. We talked about the laws of nature. That's the world that we have here on Earth. But obviously, Earth is not in a bender. I said benders. This is some airbender stuff. I love it here. Earth is not in a vacuum. It's also not in a bender, but it's on a bender. But anyway, Earth is not in a vacuum. It is a part of the cosmos. It's a part of the universe. There are bajillions of other things swirling around us. And all of the different bodies that are in the universe have different makeups. Not every body in the universe has earth, air, fire, water on it, right? That's very unique to Earth. So the laws of nature are helpful for us here on Earth, but they don't really apply anywhere else. The laws of the universe, however, apply everywhere. And according to an important text in occult magic, the Kabbalion, there are 7 universal laws. And these are laws that are true here on Earth, but also anywhere else you would go in the universe. And these laws define for me the foundation of why it is that spells work. Because for me, spells are nothing more than science. Magic is science. I always tell people that the idea that witches are doing fantastical things is totally Hollywood made up baloney. We're actually doing some really basic bitch shit for real. It's basic. We're connecting with what is around us, and we're not telling ourselves that we're separate from it. We're letting ourselves go with the flow of it and acknowledging that we are a part of it. And just like we are a part of the earth and the elements on the earth, we're also a part of the universe. And so the laws that apply in the universe apply within ourselves. And if we create spells that observe those laws and don't violate them, the chances of success are very high. So we learn about these foundational universal laws so that we can identify really great spells, write our own really effective spells, and when those spells manifest, know why it worked. There are a lot of spellcasters and witches out there, by the way, who do not give a crap about this. And you do not have to either. If you light that candle, you set that intention, you pray over that body of water, you bury that bone in the backyard, you put that petition paper in a block of ice in the freezer, and it works, and you don't really care why, that's okay. But if you've ever wondered why and how spells actually work so that you can consistently replicate it every single time, understanding the laws of nature and the laws of universe, how they work together, is going to give you a very strong foundation for creating spells that work every time. Step 9 is keeping a magical record. This is really important. And if I can be completely transparent with you guys, this is a step that I totally fucked up on, totally messed up on in my own journey. I actually have a couple of videos on my YouTube channel where I talk about some of the mistakes that I made with magical record keeping. But the number one mistake that I made was that I didn't do it for way too long. If you don't record it, it didn't happen. Or at least it may as well have not happened. There's no way to track your progress, your learning, your consistency, any of that if you're not keeping a record of what you are doing. And it only extends the amount of time you need to go through the trial and error period. Think of it like this. If you want to make an apple pie and you go online and you look up a recipe for how to make apple pie, and then you try out the recipe, let's say it's pretty good, right? Maybe it's not perfect, but it's pretty good. But you don't write the recipe down. You don't make any notes about what was good about it, what was bad about it. The next time you want to make an apple pie 6 months later, what are you going to have to do? Go look it up again. And maybe you can find that website where you found the recipe last time. Maybe you can't. Now you're recreating the wheel all over again. But if you had written down that recipe the last time and made a note that the pie was good, but it just wasn't sweet enough, not only would you be able to replicate that recipe without having to research it all over again, you would know how to fix the recipe to make it better. And now this time, instead of a cup of sugar like the recipe called for, you would add a cup and a half because your notes told you that it wasn't quite sweet enough. So keeping a magical record will help you track your progress and shorten that time of trial and error and making mistakes. Record keeping of what you have done is one type of record keeping, but there's also record keeping in the form of planning, which is keeping a record of what you're going to do magically. This is also as important because what it does is it helps you to incorporate magic into your everyday life. I want you to drop an emoji in the chat if you have done this before. How many times have you told yourself that you were going to do a ritual for the full moon? I'm going to do a ritual for the next full moon. And then the next full moon comes around and you totally forgot about it. And now you're scrolling on social media and all the witches are talking about full moon, full moon, full moon. And you're like, oh my God, I don't have time now. It's tonight. I don't have time to put a ritual together. I don't have time to make a bath or decide what I'm going to do. I don't got no candles in the house or I don't have any incense. Oh, I guess I'll have to wait again till the next one. Who's done that? Sabrina, big red hand. Yes. Because this was story of my life. Because like I said, I was not keeping magical records. I wasn't writing down what I was doing. I wasn't planning. And so every full moon, it was like the same damn broken record where I'd be like, oh, I was going to do a whole thing, but it's tonight. Or, oh my God, was it yesterday? Journey's done it. Ashley's done it. Elizabeth has done it. Alexis has done it. We've all done it. Amy's done it. Every time, says Enid. Every time. And we can immediately stop doing that by keeping a planning magical record that is in alignment with our regular life. Right up there with go to the grocery store and pick the kids up from school is grab some incense for my ritual tonight. How do you do this? The most important thing that you can do is pick the best record keeping tool for you. So for those of you who are thinking, oh my gosh, Ali wants me to sit on the dock of the bay with my fluffy sweater and my cup of tea and my journal and sit and write. And I hate that. I'm not like that. I don't like to do that kind of thing. I'm not a journal keeper. That's so annoying to me. Don't worry. That's the method that you see in the movies, on the Instagrams, but there are plenty of ways to keep your magical record, and you can find one for yourself. Your magical record might be voice notes that you leave yourself on your phone. Your magical record might be post-it notes that you keep in a box. Your method is it's important to choose the best method for you. And knowing what types of journals you can keep and how to organize them when you do is also critical. So in this module, we focus on what are the different types of record keeping that you could have out there. What is the difference between a book of shadows and a grimoire and a planner and a dream journal? And what is the best way to organize these journals or these types of record keeping in case I want to do them? So I teach you like 10 or 12 different types of magical record keeping so that you can pick which ones you want to try to incorporate into your life so that you're tracking your progress, shortening your mistake time, and planning your life around magic right along with everything else. Step 10, connect with your community. Remember when I said step 1 and step 2 were 2 out of the 3 most important steps? Step 10 is the third most important step. If you unveil your true self, connect with that true self, and find a community that is right for you, you are going to be a better witch. You will no longer feel like a baby witch. I promise you. Connecting with community is something that we have completely lost touch with. And the whole COVID thing did not make it any better. And it is really easy to push the need for community off to the side. and say, it's not that important. I can read this book on my own. I can watch this class or this video on my own. And yes, you can. But should you? I say no. And the reason I say no is because a lonely witch is fearful and vulnerable. When you are alone, it is so much easier to not engage with your craft out of fear. I want you to think about a baby that is crawling that just learns to walk. A baby does not stop crawling and learn to walk if there are not walking people around them. The reason why a baby has the bravery to get up, fall is because there are walking people around saying, come on, you can do it. You can do this. Yes, you're going to fall, but it's okay. We'll catch you. Yes, you're going to fall, but it's okay. We'll put a Band-Aid on your knee. Yes, you're going to fall, but we won't judge you. We're going to keep cheering you on. You are all crawling babies. And you need folks that are walking around you to say, you got this. Yes, you're going to make mistakes. Yes, you're going to have a lot of questions. Yes, you're going to be unsure, but don't let that stop you. We were crawling before too. And now look at us. We're walking, we're running, we're leaping. If you don't have a community of witches around you that are doing the things that you want to be able to do to encourage you and get you over those moments, you are going to be stuck in a place of fear and you are not going to progress. A lonely witch is also a vulnerable witch because unfortunately, just like there are people in this world who take advantage of babies and people who are young and weak, there are also people in the magical and spiritual community who will take advantage of people who are just starting their journeys. And having other witches around you who have been through these things before to say, you're not supposed to pay for that. Oh no, there's not supposed to be nudity in that ritual. Oh, it is completely inappropriate to be asked to do that. You might find yourself in some really unfortunate situations where you are being taken advantage of. Having a community around you is also going to support weaving magic into your everyday life because you're not going to have two worlds that you navigate. And we're all really busy. We're all really busy in our real world. So if you're trying to balance two worlds, chances are this one is going to get the short end of the stick. And you're always going to tell yourself, I'm too busy to go to that event or do that thing or perform that ritual or learn that new skill. You're always going to have excuses because you're in the real world. But when you have a community of people around you who could easily go shopping with you at Sephora, but also do ritual with you, it becomes so much easier for the magical things of your life to go right hand in hand with the regular things in your life. And you will no longer have to live these two separate existences. So how do you find community and how do you connect with community? The number one important thing that I want to tell you guys, and I am so serious about this, never again do I want to hear from any of you. Are y'all listening? Never again do I want to hear from any of you the following. Oh, Allie, what a cool event you're throwing. There's no events like that near me. There's no shops like that near me. There's no witches holding gatherings like that near me. There's no witches in my neighborhood. Bullshit. There are witches everywhere. And when you add in the amount of witches who don't call themselves witches but are whole ass witches, we are definitely everywhere. Do not tell yourself that there are no witches, there's no community, there's no events, there's no shops. That is BS. The unfortunate side effect of social media is that we have become incredibly passive. Back in the day, some of you are too young to know this, but those of you who are old enough remember that back in the day, if you wanted the news, you had to go and get it. Y'all remember these days when you had to actually get up, go to the corner store, and buy the newspaper to educate yourself on what was happening in the world? Do you remember when you had to actually wait until 8 o'clock p.m. for the news program to come on the TV and go turn to that channel to hear the news? Otherwise, you would simply not know. You had to actively seek information. Because of social media, we have gotten really used to passively receiving things. I don't go looking for the news. I'm not calling y'all out any more than I'm calling myself out. I don't go looking for news, right? Yes, we had to tune in to the news programs, but not anymore. If it comes across my news feed, I know about it. And if it doesn't come across my news feed, I lie to myself and say it's not happening. So if no witchy stuff in your neighborhood is coming across your news feed, you lie to yourself and say they don't exist. And it's a bold-faced lie. But if you are expecting the algorithm to show it to you, you might be waiting for a hot ass minute. And you're going to be one of the people like I encounter every single day who live in my neighborhood, who are whole ass witches, who don't realize that there's a witch shop that's been open for 2 years down the street. Every day we have someone come in the shop and go, "You've been here for 2 years? I didn't know." Were you looking for witchy shops? Were you looking? You were not looking. You were passively existing on the internet waiting for Instagram to do the work for you. So if you want to find community and you want to connect with it, you have to throw that mentality out with the bathwater and start being intentional and going and looking for communities. Not to mention, some of the communities are going to be obvious, right? I have a shop. It's called BronxWitch HeadQuarters. If you are looking for witches, there's probably a good chance that the BronxWitch HeadQuarters will be a place to go. But in this module, not only do I talk about some of the obvious places where you can connect with witchy communities, I talk about like 10 or 12 different not so obvious places where you can find witches, like powwows and drum circles, dance events, crystal shops, nature enthusiast groups, etc. There are a lot of witches that are not necessarily doing things that are called witchy something in the moment. But if you know where to look and you actually go and look, you will find them. And then once you find them, you have to actively engage. Okay? It is not enough to sign up for the virtual coven and then never log in and never comment anything in the discussion feed. Right? Once we find the community, we cannot sit back and expect everybody else to do the work of connecting with us. We have to actively engage. And yes, it's nerve-wracking. I know it can be hard to meet new people, but remember the dangers of doing this alone. Remember the fear of being by yourself and how vulnerable it is to explore these things without support. And let that motivate you to actively engage with the witches that you do find. And they may not become your besties, and you might decide that they're not right for you. Don't give up. Find another group and do it again. The rewards far outweigh the risk of looking a little embarrassed by introducing yourself to people you don't know. Okay? Now, I want to give you the not so easy news that even though I have just broken down those 10 steps And drop a emoji in the chat if you got all those 10 steps, and if those 10 steps made an impact on you, even if it wasn't all 10 of them. But did you walk away with at least one of those steps resonating with you as something you want to do? You do have to ask yourself the question of, am I ready to actually execute these steps? Now that you have them, are you ready to take action on them? How do you know you're ready? In the workbook that I provided to you, there is a quiz at the beginning, a very short quiz. And if you answer yes to all of those questions, there's a really good chance that you are ready. Okay, good. Cynthia, that resonated with you. Good. Elizabeth, that resonated. Amy, it resonated. Great. So if these steps resonated with you, the next question is, am I ready to actually do them? Because you might not be, and that's okay. But how do you know? If you're reading books and watching videos and taking classes on the craft, and they're helpful, but they're starting to get repetitive, you might be ready to actually start really putting the things you've been learning into action. And you can do that with these 10 steps. It's important to ask yourself if you are willing and able to dedicate time every week to your magical studies, because I think that these 10 steps are going to take you further if you set aside time every week to work on them. You don't have to work on all 10 every week, but to take 10 minutes out of your week, take an hour out of your week to focus on at least one of them is really going to allow them to be effective. Good. Resounding yes, said Enid. Ashley, I know you're ready because you're already signed up to rock with me for the next 6 months. So I know Ashley's ready. You already checked these boxes off. But for the rest of you, you do have to ask yourself whether or not you can at least carve out some time to work on it. Because the truth of the matter is, if you're, let's say, working 24 hours a day in order to survive, and just coming to this webinar was nearly out of the question, then it's probably not very realistic that you're going to be able to take these 10 steps in an organized and dedicated fashion. That's okay. That's why I wanted you to take notes. You can put these notes to the side. Hey, Nuri, welcome. You can take those notes, put them to the side, and come back to them when your schedule permits, when you are willing and able to dedicate time to your magical studies. Another important element to being ready to actually execute these steps is knowing that magic is real and being ready to see it in all parts of your life. Because I'm going to keep it real with you right now. And some of you are going to feel a little bit attacked. But there are some of you sitting in this room right now that still need to be convinced that magic and witches are even real. Some of you are still waiting for somebody to do something, show you something, convince you in some way that any of this is even real whatsoever. You might be starting that early on. You might be at that early stage of the game. And that is okay. I do not judge you whatsoever. But there is no point in trying to spend time on these 10 steps if you don't even realize how they could transform your life. You still need some time, and that's okay. I would say you're also not ready if you can't or are not willing to carve out dedicated time for your magical studies for the reasons that I just mentioned. Dedicated time with these steps is going to allow them to actually benefit you. And if you don't have it, you don't have it. That's okay. And finally, and this one might hurt a little bit because I know that when I was a teenage witch and I was living at home with my mom, this would have been a little bit painful for me to had to accept. But some of you are in situations where you need permission from an authority figure in order to make changes in your own life. You might have a spouse, a parent, or some other figure that prevents you from being able to actually live the life that you want. In which case, going on a journey of transforming your life might not really be worth it because you are not allowed to do so. And again, no judgment. Take these notes, Put them somewhere safe. And when you are in a space where you have full agency in your own life to decide what you want your life to be, you will have the steps that you need to get it done. Now, for some of you, you may have checked off several of the boxes under not ready, and that's okay. But it does mean that the next couple pieces of information that I share right now are probably not for you. And that is all right. You can hang out and just listen in. But for those of you who checked off more of the boxes at the top and you are ready to execute these steps and transform yourself from baby witch into better witch, you now have a choice to make. You have to choose whether or not you want to take these 10 steps on your own or you want to do them with me. Now, when I was sitting down to write out the pros and cons list, I had a little bit of a struggle. I am a firm believer in always looking at the pros and cons of any choice I'm going to make. Even if it's hard to come up with a pro or a con, try to do that. That's always going to make your decision-making process better. And I did not want to sit up here and be biased and insist that doing things with me is like the only way to go and doing it alone is going to just be a recipe for disaster. That is not the truth. There are pros and cons to either choice. But when I was trying to come up with the pros for doing it alone, I'll be honest, I was having a hard time. The only thing that I could really come up with was if you do these 10 steps by yourself, you get to move at your own pace. But I immediately saw how that also is kind of a con because if you're able to move at your own pace, there's a really good chance that you are going to slack off. How many of you are course hoarders? How many of you have downloaded classes, signed up for webinars, PDFs, books of shadows pages that are still sitting in your inbox right now because you keep swearing you're going to take that class or do that thing and you didn't? By looking at our online portal and how many people have signed up for classes that they started and didn't finish, I know that there are at least a couple in the room. Okay, so not to call you out. But we all do this. I have done this. Sign up for a class. Oh, I miss it. Oh, the replay is going to be sent to me in my inbox. Okay, great. I'm going to go and watch it later. And then I never do. So while moving at your own pace can sometimes seem like a good thing, if it's not going to hold you to task and keep you moving, it might actually kind of backfire and in some ways be a con. Okay. Other cons of doing it alone is that you don't have anyone to hold you accountable. So if you do slack off, there's no one there to say, hey, let's catch up. Let's get back on the wheel. And there's no one to answer your questions along the way. If you're doing self-study, unless you know the author of the book that you're reading, if you have a question about something that they wrote about, how do you get it answered? There's no sort of direct and immediate way to get an answer to your question. But if you take these 10 steps with me, which is what I'm offering you today, you're going to be able to fast track your progress. And I promise you, you will be held accountable. Not only will I be making sure that you are in class, that you are doing your homework assignments, but you remember that head witch Alexis that said, what's up, and has been helping you in the chat? She's going to be coming for you with love. But she is going to be coming for you. She will be sending you an email to check in with you if things start to fall behind. Now, we're obviously all humans and we have lives and emergencies do happen. And if something comes up and you're like, Allie, I'm sorry, I can't get my homework in this week. I need an extension. Can you give me a few more days? Yes, absolutely. No problem. But if you think you're going to take class with me and then 3 weeks later you've disappeared, no. I'm not going to let you do that to yourself. When you work with me, you're also going to be able to get your questions answered in real time. You have 24/7 access to me through the discussion boards in each lessons in our classes. You also have access to me in the Coven community. You also have my email address. And so you're able to reach me immediately. And if you have a question, I'll be able to get back to you so that your progress and your learning isn't stalled. And by having someone hold you accountable and being able to reach out to them immediately for answers, you are going to have a much less confusing time, and you are going to waste a lot less of your own time. And the only con I could think of with working with me is no excuses are allowed. So, if excuses is your middle name, you're going to be tight because I don't really allow for those. So, these are things to consider. The choice, of course, is yours. And for those of you who are ready to make the choice to work with me, I want to let you know that the spring semester of my Magic Intensive, Becoming a Better Witch in 6 months, begins on February 14th at 10 p.m. I want to say congratulations to the fall semester of Better Witches who graduated last week. Shout out to them. I'm so proud of them. It has been so amazing to work with them. And I'm looking forward to, we have spells planned, we have rituals, we have things planned. So it's wonderful that I now can take my students and practice with them. They're now peers. They're, fellow witches. We know each other's strengths. We know each other's spirits. We know each other's traditions, and we can work magic together, which is really super cool. So I'm really excited to do this again with the next batch. The spring semester, like I said, begins on the 14th. I am only going to be taking 15 witches in this semester. Last semester, I did 10. I was open for 10. I'm going to extend it this time to 15. What you need to know is that I had an early bird enrollment process last week, and 3 of those spots are now gone. Okay, so there will be 12 spots available when registration opens on February 1st. And I could have just had registration open like now, but this might be the first time you're hearing about this program. This might be the first time you're processing this information. And I wanted to be fair to everyone and give everybody a few days to look over your notes, think about whether or not you are ready, and analyze the pros and cons of working with me versus doing it on your own. And then on February 1st, you'll be able to make that decision. And if your choice is to work with me, you can go ahead and enroll. You can enroll at bronxwitch.com/coaching. But if you're registered for this webinar, you're also going to get emails with the link. So very important, my YouTube folks who might be tuning in to the public live stream, if you didn't actually register for this webinar, I want you to do that. Go into the description, click the link, and register. That way you're on the mailing list and you will get the link sent right to you so you can't forget. The reason why that's important is because enrollment is open until the 7th, but there's only 12 spots available. So if those 12 spots fill up before the 7th, then enrollment's going to close. So it's to the 7th or until we're filled up, whichever one happens first. So I can't promise that enrollment will be open all the way through the 7th, so you're not going to want to miss it when it opens up. Set a notification, set a reminder, set an alarm for yourself. Keep an eye on your inbox. We will also alert you and remind you when the day is approaching. Now, someone the other day, actually it was Ashley, shout out to Ashley, because Ashley, you are the reason why I added this next slide in this presentation. Ashley asked, what exactly does the coaching program actually entail? And I was able to break that down for her. And I was like, you know what? Let me make sure that I do that for everybody else. Journey registered. Fantastic. You won't miss out on the emails. So first of all, you are going to have 11 live group webinars held every other Wednesday night at 10 p.m. Eastern. We're going to do that for 22 weeks. So starting on February 14th and then continuing on every 2 weeks, Wednesday night at 10, I am going to come live just like this in webinar fashion for 2-ish hours. And we are going to deep dive into each of these 10 categories. In between each of those 2 weeks, all of you will have one-on-one private sessions with me. We will go virtual together for 30 minutes and we will deep dive into your personal craft. You can ask anything you'd like. We'll talk about the homework. We'll talk about the module. We'll make sure that what you learned in class is actually being incorporated into your life. For every single module, there are quizzes and homework assignments that must be completed in order for you to attend the following module. So this is how I keep you accountable and keep you on track. You're also going to receive curated recommended reading lists and further study from me for every module. So there are thousands of books out there, hundreds of teachers, tons of YouTube videos. I'm going to tell you the ones that I think are the most helpful for you to take your studies further. So you're not wasting your time buying books and signing up for classes that are perhaps not very helpful. Shout out to Nuri, because this is a new addition to the curriculum, which are the module-specific journal prompts. Nuri was like, hey, I love this program. And I find myself journaling about each of the modules. What if that was like a part of our homework, that we journaled about how we're going to turn this module into our own life? And I was like, say less. That's a great idea. So there are going to be some journal prompts for you. Not mandatory. That's not homework. I don't want you to feel like you're going to be forced to journal, but you are going to be provided with some journal prompts for those who do want to journal. Included in every single module is at least one special offer, one discount, one deal, or one referral. And when you add them all up together, it's about $900. Because guess what? I got friends. Yes, I do. I have been blessed to be able to get to know a lot of really dope witches who are super experienced in areas of the craft where I am not necessarily an expert. And if you ever meet a teacher that only wants you to learn from them, run away at full speed. Every teacher should be able to admit that there are certain things that they are not experts in. And what I have done is I have hooked you guys up with discounts and deals and referrals to the dope ass witches that I know who are better at certain things than I am, so that you can learn from them and you can get the hookup because you know me. You know what I'm saying? And then finally, each of you is going to get a magic intensive kit mailed to you when you enroll. You will submit your order, give me your address. I will send you this kit that I have put together of things that I feel every witch needs to have in order to go on this journey, from calendars to planners to sacred texts to pendulums and divination tools. And all of that will be sent to you. And if you added that up, it would be about a $200 value, but that is, of course, also included. Now, if you add all this up, especially the group webinars, 2 hours of my time for 22 weeks and half an hour every other week for 22 weeks, all the time it takes me to grade all of your assignments, to create these reading lists, these journal prompts, etc., all of the discounts and deals, the full kit, you are looking at a value of about $6,570. Now, before we move forward, I want to point out something interesting. When I switched to this slide, we lost about 5 or 6 people from the room. Womp womp. Let me tell you what happened. They saw that number at the bottom of the screen and they let their body and their mind do the talking. They let fear set in and they ran away scared. And that's really unfortunate because they're about to miss out on something amazing. If they had allowed their true self to speak and say, you know, you want to take part in this, they would have stuck around long enough to see the very special offer that I told you guys about in the beginning. So I want to congratulate the 28 of you who are still in the room, who did not respond out of fear when you saw that number, and you listened to your true self that said, stick around, keep listening, keep tuning in, let's see where this is going. Congratulations to you. I want to know if you're still with me. Drop an emoji in the chat and let me know if you are ready for me to share with you the special offer that I have created for this program. Let me know. Are you ready? Are we here? I want to show it to you. Okay. Enid's on board. Takara is still here. Oh, I love that emoji. Yes, little fairy. Amy's here. Journey's here. Cynthia is still here. HQ Witches in the house. That is a great question, Marianne. Marianne wants to know, how does it work for those of us who are international? No worries whatsoever. Every single webinar is available on demand. And it is available continuously on demand. It never goes anywhere. In fact, even after the 6 months, you still have access to all of the webinars. So you are perfectly capable of tuning in right after. And because you can ask me questions live in the discussion, it's just like being in the room. That is a great question. All right, everybody is ready to see our special offer. This full value program, which is valued at $6,570, is not going to cost that to you because Spirit has told me that this is my purpose. My reason for being here is to turn baby witches into better witches, and I need to make that as doable as I possibly can. So I need to offer this program and all of its benefits for as low of a price as I possibly can to get as many witches in the room. This number 1667 is special to me spiritually, but it is also the absolute lowest that I can offer all of the 6 months with me and everything that comes with this program. You guys have been dropping all kinds of emojis. If you like this price, if this feels good to you, if you feel ready to work with me, I want you to give me a witch emoji. I want to see how many witches are ready to go from baby witch to better witch, because I have even more special offers to give you. And I want to talk directly to the witches that are ready. All of the other witches, you can hang out, you can listen, you can tune in, but this is for the witches that are ready. And I want to see how many of you there are. Oh, I like those ears. Yeah. Elizabeth is ready. Journey's ready. Beautiful. We've got 2 witches that are ready. That's awesome. Takara's ready. You might be deciding, and I won't rush you. Marianne gave a crystal ball. I'm going to take that as a witchy emoji. So Marianne is ready. Marianne will be tuning in internationally, which I love. All right. Okay, for the witches that are ready, I have a very, very special offer. On top of this price, I also wanted to do something special as kind of my thank you to you guys for tuning in to this webinar and taking the time out of your evening. Ashley's ready to be here. Ashley, I know you're ready because you're already registered. You're super ready. I'm so excited for you to be a part of this. I want to thank you guys for taking the time out of your Sunday evening to work on this. I want to congratulate you for being ready to take this step. And so what I want to offer just for the folks who are in the webinars today, I want to offer you a 3-month payment plan. So you will not have to pay the full $1,667 right up front in order to enroll. You will only have to pay the first payment of $566.66, and that will give you full and complete access to the program just like everybody else. You will get your intensive kit in the mail. You will get your welcome lessons. You will come to class on the 14th. You will come to class again on the 28th. You will get your live one-on-one coaching sessions with me. You will get access to your homework assignments, all of it. And you will only pay $566.66 to get into the building. Then you get to spend an entire 30 days with me before the second $566.66 is due. That's another 2 webinars, another 4 weeks of study, another 2 live sessions, homework, deals, all of that. And then finally, 30 days after that, you will make your final payment. You will have 3 months out of the 6 months to make your payment. I really wanted to do this for you guys because I know that some of you are just hearing about this program. A lot of you heard about it in the fall and you knew already that when the spring came around, you were going to enroll and you've had the time to prepare. But for those of you who have not had the time to prepare, it might be a lot to pay for the entire program at once. So I wanted to make it easier for you guys and break it down, give you guys a little bit of time to take care of that, okay? The thing about this deal is because it's only for my webinar folks, it will only be available for that first day of registration. So on February 1st, enrollment is going to open. And when you go to the enrollment page, you're going to see 2 payment options, the full value or the first of 3 monthly payments. You choose which one works best for you. But after the second, those 3 payment plans will no longer be available. You'll still be able to register, but you will only be able to secure your spot with the full value of the program. This monthly payment plan will not be shared with other folks. Okay, it will only be sent out as a reminder to you guys. So you will get emails. I will remind you about this, but there are more folks on my mailing list than there are who registered for this webinar, and they are not going to be privy to this information. Okay, so they're going to be dragging their feet, trying to decide what they're going to do. You're not going to do that. You are going to act on February 1st. You're going to enroll for 566.66, and you're going to take one of those last 12 spots that are available in the spring semester, okay? To register, you're going to go to bronxwitch.com/coaching, or you can check your inbox for the registration link because, like I said, we are going to email that out to everyone who is registered for this webinar. If you are tuning in on YouTube or you didn't register for the webinar, or maybe you're just not sure, you can go ahead back to bronxwitch.com/coaching or click on the link in the description of this video and make sure you're registered. I want to give you guys a chance to ask any questions. I know Marianne had that question about watching the replays of the webinars, and I do believe I answered that. If you have administrative questions, Alexis is going to answer those in the chat for you. If you have any questions on the 10 steps, that is what I want to address right now. I will take 1, maybe 2 questions because we have run over time, but we'll try to squeeze 1 in or 2 in here. And if you don't get your question answered by me, or perhaps you are watching on the replay and you have a question later on, you can always book a single one-on-one private coaching session with me, also at bronxwitch.com/coaching. A single private coaching session with me is not 30 minutes, it's a whole hour. All right, so if you would like to sit with me for an hour to deep dive into an area of the craft or one of the topics that I brought up tonight and make it specific to you, we can absolutely do that. Thank you, Nuri. Thank you for being here. Enid says, great deal, but you're not sure that you're ready. That is totally valid, Enid. That's why I didn't want to make enrollment available immediately. I didn't want everybody to just rush. And then some people who needed time to think about it got bumped out and didn't get a chance to get in. I want everybody to have the same amount of time to let all of this settle in and percolate. It's late at night. It's Sunday. You got stuff to do on Monday. You need some time to think about it. So that's why enrollment doesn't open until the 1st. Okay. And if you want to know if you're ready, there is a quiz in the workbook that I encourage you to take that might help you to decide and really get in touch with yourself and feel out whether or not you're ready. Thank you, Amy. Now, like I said at the start, if I did my job, then there won't be any questions. And I'm not seeing any questions coming in about the 10 steps. So that means I must have done a pretty good job of breaking that down for you guys. So I am really happy about that. I want to remind you one last time that you all have an opportunity to win a free private coaching session with me. This is a full 1 hour coaching session with me that will take place between February 2nd and the 4th. And all you have to do to enter to win it is to post this picture to your stories or your shorts, or even send us an email. Tag BronxWitch and BronxWitch HQ. Alexis and I are going to be going through those and choosing one lucky witch. We will email you within the next 24 hours with a link to set up your session with me. I also want to remind you that the spring semester of the Better Witch Magic Intensive, Becoming a Better Witch in 6 months, your opportunity to work with me on these 10 steps begins on February 14th at 10 p.m. Eastern. That is our first class. I am only taking 15 witches in this semester, and 3 spots are already gone. Registration opens on February the 1st and will be open until those spots close up, or potentially until the 7th. You can find the link to register at bronxwitch.com/coaching, and keep an eye on your inbox because we will be sending all of that out to everyone. So I want to thank you, witches, so much for being here. Yes, thank you so much. Just being here tells me that you are ready to go from baby witch to better witch, whether you do it with me or you execute these steps on your own. I am so excited for you to grow and shift and step into your power in this way. And I want to thank you all for trusting me to share this information with you. I don't know why you would come here at all, quite frankly. It seems like a waste of your evening, but to each his own. Thank you, Journey. I will catch you later. Thank you all so much, witches. Much love to each and every one of you. May you have a beautiful rest of the evening, and blessed be. Bye. Thanks, Takara.